Hi, I'm Janet, and welcome to Chez Les Fleur podcast. This is where we talk to all sorts of amazing, fascinating, busy, creative women that are in business. Some are in non-traditional, some aren't, and all of them are facing the challenges and excitement and adventure that small business brings our way. I have with me today Alison, and she is in sales down at Elmhirst Resort, the beautiful, wonderful local Elmhirst Resort that we all love. And that this is a beautiful time to be at Elmhurst. The leaves are changing and it looks great. So welcome, Alison. I'm glad to have you here with us at Chez Les Fleur.
Thank you, Janet. I'm so excited to be here.
Well, and I'm sure things, like I say, are beautiful down there. So
I feel like I don't even work. I just come to the resort every day. I feel like one of the luckiest people.
oh, isn't that great? Yeah, it is. We're fortunate to have it in our neighborhood. Okay, so you are leading the sales team at Elmhurst Resort. Tell
I
me,
am part of a big sales team or a growing sales team at the resort, and we are working under the fourth generation of Elmhurst. My boss is actually Henry Elmhurst, who is fourth generation of this family-owned business. So it's been exciting to be a part of this next stage of their growth.
wow, four generations.
Yeah. I have always specifically chosen to work for privately held companies, which for the most part translates to family-owned businesses. I just find as an employee, you have a better opportunity to have an impact. And I think there's a more consciousness around the employee owner relationship when you're working for a privately held company. It's less about the stock market, more about the people actually in place. So I've had the great fortune of working for very large family-owned companies. I was with Rogers Communications when Ted was still running Rogers, down to small companies. For 25 years, I sold advertising in the media industry. And all of my clients, for the most part, were small to medium businesses, privately held businesses. So I've worked for small businesses, and then my clients have been small businesses as well.
Wow, that's great. So in a company the size of Rogers, what what are the great things about working at a company that large?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest differences, I mean, let's face it, the process is the same. Revenue, expenses, accounting, HR, it's operations, it's the same. It's just the scale that's different. So the number of people involved in each process is different depending on the scale of the company. But all the processes are the same. It's just for small businesses, it's likely the owner doing it all. So I think the luxury of being in a larger business is being able to have those departments, those support departments. So you have a sales team and their sole job is sales. You have an accounting team, their sole job is accounting. And from a hiring perspective, you get to hire a subject matter expert to do each of those things. Whereas for entrepreneurs and small business, it's you're doing all of the things, and you don't have the luxury of hiring people to do one thing. You also then have to find employees who are multi-purpose employees, people who can do multiple things. So I think the challenge for small businesses is that sort of multifunction that you have to have as a business owner, but the multifunction you have to have in your employees as well. And what scale gives you is the opportunity to say, oh, I just need somebody who's good at sales, or I just need somebody who's good at accounting, or somebody who's good at customer service. So, and I've done both roles. I've been a salesperson in a small company where sales wasn't just my job. I was also doing dishes and serving and showing up at company events and doing all of the things alongside of business owners. And then I think the most difficult size is when you're at that tipping point, when you're a medium-sized company You're the business owner. You haven't yet got to the point where you can let go of some of the functionalities, but you're not big enough yet to hire for those functionalities. And that's when I see, God, I could never be an entrepreneur. I don't know how people do it. They're responsible for everything, and they're in that tipping point where they really need to bring in staff that can take over some of the operational functionality, but they're not yet large enough to afford it. And I think that is the hardest point of business, is that medium-sized business.
That fine balance, eh?
Yeah, it is. And my advice is as soon as you can, hire for the subject matter expert. As soon as you can hire a salesperson, hire a salesperson. As soon as you can hire an accountant, hire an accountant, because as soon as you can take those things off of your plate, you can get back to being the visionary person that you were when you started your business. So, what makes small businesses so great is that the person who founded the business, the person who's running the business, started it, in my experience, out of a passion. I am passionate about this subject or this product. Flowers, for example, is a perfect example of that. I had this great client, and it was like sort of the revelation to me, Lakey trekking poles. I was working for Backpacker magazine, and at this teeny tiny company, and they made ski poles and trekking poles. And I was a salesperson. I'm like going to this tiny company, and they're giving me the tour of the factory, and they're engineers. Like, they are so proud of the angle of the handle and the tension in the spring and the size of the basket on the, and I'm looking at them like, what are you talking about? Like, this is so minute detail, but they were so passionate about this one product that they made, that as a salesperson who knew nothing about the engineering, I'm just selling them advertising. All of a sudden, I'm passionate about selling this story to a world of backpackers or a world of trekkers. Like, now I'm like, you guys, you got to see this company. It is the coolest thing ever, how passionate these people are about this product. And as a salesperson, that just it gives me confidence to sell with that passion, even though I'm not the engineer behind the product. And I think that's what's so special about small companies, is that you are still the visionary, and you are still operating from that vision and passion perspective. And then when you get larger, the key is, how do you evolve as a business owner to get back to that passion? Now you have to start bringing in these subject matter experts and operational experts, so you can get out of the muck and mire of operating the business and get back to being the visionary. And I think that's what somebody like Ted Rogers does. Is Ted Rogers, he was the passion that started the company, and then he built it, and then he was able to bring in all of these people to support his vision, so he could get back to being the visionary behind the brand.
Yeah, so true. So true. And that it's like, like we said earlier, it's a very fine balance of, when you can, step off the cliff and know that you're going to fly.
Yeah, yeah. But in the meantime, the best part about being a small business is you get to be that visionary, you get to be that intimate with your employees, that intimate with your customers. Like, it's such a wonderful place to be in. Like I said, I think the medium size is the worst place for a business owner to be in. The small has these fabulous personal advantage, and then the large has the advantage of all this support underneath you. But it's that tipping point that is so, so hard for businesses to get through, and for business owners to get through too.
Well, and you made a very good point about small business, that you do know your customers and you do know your staff, and that's also what makes being there so great. And one of the things when people ask me what I like is, if say I go to a seminar or something and I hear this really great piece of information that I'm thinking, oh my goodness, that's what I've been struggling with. That's going to work in my business. I can come back the next day and I can change that direction.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I don't have to pull the department heads together. I don't have to sell it to them. I don't have to coach them through it. I can just say, okay, you know what? From now on, we're going to attach the card and label with this product instead of this one because this one will hold it better.
Yeah.
And I know that's a weak example, but
No,
you know,
it's exactly right. Exactly right. And your ability to pivot, I mean, I know it was a struggle, but the ability for small business to pivot in economic situations is sometimes much easier than it is for large businesses to pivot. It's easier for you to source new supply chain. It's easier for you to adapt your business hours or your business model. Much, much harder to turn a big ship around than it is to turn a small ship. And you're right, engaging your employees in any kind of change or any kind of growth is much easier in a small business than a large business for sure.
well, and I think too, it's like we, you alluded to earlier, they're also at the grassroots level. So they can feel if sales are down or if sales are up. They can feel if the card isn't sticking properly onto the arrangement and we need to do something about this because three people this week have said the card fell off.
Yeah,
So when you come back and say, I found this new apparatus to hold our cards on better, they're going, yeah, it's about time. And you
exactly.
know it's they can feel it too.
And they're not afraid to present ideas either. They see you every day. They're engaged every day. They're the ones coming to the table saying, "Hey, the card's not sticking. Is there something we can do about it?" Which for you as a business owner means the next trade show you go to, you're looking for that solution for them. So, yeah, and that gets harder. That those lines of communication get harder from the people providing the customer service, interacting with your clients, those connections get vaster and vaster the larger you get as a company. And that's really one of the key leadership decisions as you grow is at some point, business owners need to bring in operational staff that they trust and that they work well with and that allow them to let go of some of those operational decisions and allow them to trust in a management team or a mid-level team that's going to help them stay out of that day-to-day operation and move into that and stay in that visionary mindset for their company. Like, what's the next best thing? I think it's who was it? Simon Sinek, who said, you have to stick to the why of your business. And the more you're stuck in operational activities, sometimes the harder it is to get back to the why. When you're the small business owner in the launch mode, you're all about the why. And then there's this middle ground where it gets sort of lost. And then finally you get to a size where, yes, I can now bring in, people that I trust on the operational level, so that I can get back to thinking about the why of my business.
Well,
I
and
think
it's
that
interesting.
really, those are really the best leaders, the leaders who can stay with that why as their business grows.
Well, and one of the businesses that I really admire is Zingerman's in Ann Arbor, Michigan. And they started out with a deli and have expanded to a creamery, a chocolatier, a cheese shop. They've got, an event location. And the two fellas that co-own it, Ari says that either he or his partner are at every new training session for new employees. He says, I want them to know what I look like. I want them to know who I am. And I want them to know they can come to me if they have an idea.
I love that. I love that. The best leaders that I have worked with, like I remember walking around the campus, the Rogers campus, which is 5,000 employees at Bloor and Jarvis, and walking around with Ted, which was a real privilege. And I was there
That was,
just while Ted was just prior to Ted passing the company over to Nadir. And he talked about employees as investments. Alison, this is so and so. We're investing in her because she's leading our digital initiative, or we've invested in this person. And I love that he had that mindset about his team, that they still had, even though he had 5,000 employees, he could still name his key employees. He still knew not all of them, but most of the key leadership team. He knew them personally. And he spoke about them as an investment, not, oh, I pay this person this, or we had to pay this to get this person. No, we invested in this person because they are going to bring this direction to our company, or they're going to bring this asset to our company. And I just thought that was such a really pivotal moment for me, to have a leader who thought about their staff that way. And I think that one of the things is with business owners is it's hard to invest in people. That money is coming, out of your pocket as a business owner, but it's important to remember that it is an investment you're making, not an expense. That you want people that you invest in around you that are going to help your business grow.
Yeah, that's so true. It's so true. Like that old adage that says, what if I teach this person all these things and they leave? And it's, what if they don't learn those things and they stay?
Yeah.
And it's, people feel that you're valuing them when you invest in them and you encourage them and you send them to courses, or you buy pizza on Friday, or any of those things that demonstrate appreciation.
Yeah. And I think it's also important to remember that you're not likely to, it's harder to find somebody who can do all the things as well as you do. You're the entrepreneur. If you could find somebody who could do all the things as well as you can in your business, they would be out running their own business.
That's
It's
right.
important to remember that you're bringing people to your team who are bringing a specific set of skills that are going to be an asset to your team, and that you want to invest in those specific set of skills that they're bringing to the table, because not everybody can do everything the way I could never be an entrepreneur. I couldn't bear the weight of running and operating a business. I am so grateful to support entrepreneurs because I could never do it. I'm a salesperson. That's what I bring to the table. And I love that the leaders that I've worked for have invested in that part of me and that part of my skill set. Yeah, I couldn't do what these business owners do. It's too hard.
So when you say you're in sales, a lot
Yeah.
of people probably think that you're trying to get people at Elmhirst into the rooms, but there's got to be more to sales than just filling rooms. Tell me what you do.
Sure.
Tell me who you'd sell to.
Yeah, it's really interesting because I'm sure you experience this in your business too. You are not selling flowers at your business. And we have rooms. That's a product that we have at Elmhirst. But as with any business, we are selling the experience of Elmhurst. And how we sell that experience to different audiences is as varied as how you sell the experience of flowers. So selling flowers to a person is not selling flowers. You are selling to your clients an expression, whether it's an expression of joy, an expression of gratitude, an expression of romance, an expression of sadness. And you are also selling the idea of how the person is going to receive those flowers. Like, is it going to bring them joy? Are they going to be impressed? Are they going to feel loved? That is a whole different set for a whole bunch of different audiences that come into your shop every day. And the same is true of the resort. Yes, rooms are our product. How we sell the experience of those rooms varies. This resort and the family has been so forward thinking throughout all the generations that that has led to where the resort is positioned today. And I mean, I don't know if it was exceptional foresight or really, really good luck, but every generation of the family has brought a new way to experience the resort and made the investment in the resort assets to make that experience possible. So what started out as, a few cottages on a really good fishing lake in Ontario has grown to, a vacation destination for families from around North America. That took adding more cottages, renovating the cottages, adding connectivity to the cottages to appeal to all the generations. And now we have families that have been booking here for multi-generations, and they book week-long stays, and they come from all over North America to stay here and experience that lake, that traditional resort lake experience. But then they also brought to the table, well, let's make it a wedding venue. And that took adding very elevated food and beverage service, banquet facilities, rooms that could accommodate the scenic nature of a wedding. And so now we've become a wedding destination, and we are booking into 2027. That's not my sales, that's another salesperson. And then one of the newest areas of growth, which I was brought on for, is the idea of corporate meetings and conferences. And that meant adding more meeting rooms and getting over the hurdle of people staying in shared cottages, which turned out for, millennials and Gen Z not to be a problem at all. So that's now what they want. They don't want to go sit in an airport ballroom and stay in an airport hotel. They want to come, have their meeting, and go paddleboarding after. So the resort ended up really well positioned for that sales function. And then having made the investment in these beautiful dining experiences and the spa here on site, which Martina Lind runs, now we have a story to retell to the local market. And that's one of our next initiatives for 2026, is saying, hey, do you know that we have a stunning dining room overlooking the lake that's open 3 meals a day, like 365 days of the week, and we're a 25-minute drive from Peterborough? Like, come use the spa, come use the restaurant. So each generation of the family has brought another layer of how we sell the experience of Elmhirst. And all of that is just based on, our product is rooms. So it's simple, but then you grow it from there. How do we position this product as a new experience?
Yeah, it's very, very true. And I know that not too long ago we were out to Elmhirst with Women's Business Network, and well, you certainly pulled out the stops, and we had a fabulous time. It was lovely eating outside, and the food was terrific, and the service was amazing, and it was really a great evening. So, that's hats off to you and your team.
Well, that's what's easy about my job is I sell this, but I've always had the very, very good fortune of sort of picking and choosing the companies that I work for. And when you have a beautiful thing to sell, it's not hard to sell it. So
That's
it's really been a pleasure coming here.
so true, so true. Well, I could sit and listen and would talk about this for days because I love sales and I love marketing, but I know you're in a busy job and I don't want to keep you. One thing we do at Chez Les Fleur is we sort of wrap up with some rapid fire questions. So if you're up for that,
Oh boy. Okay.
okay, you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Sea-Doo or canoe?
Canoe full of camping gear.
Beautiful. Runners or sandals?
Oh God, runners. I'm too adventurous. I'd hurt myself in sandals for sure.
Yeah, me too. Red or white?
I'm gonna guess it's about wine, and I'm gonna say red. I love the rich red wines we produce here in Ontario, the Baco Noir, Pinot Noir, Gamay. Now it's winter time, so I'm gonna lean red. If you ask me in the summer, I'd probably say white, but for now I'm gonna stick with red.
Yeah, and you're right. Ontario does have a fabulous wine.
Yeah, I am so impressed with what Ontario is producing in terms of wines, and it's amazing to experience them.
Okay, sit down meal or a barbecue?
Oh, sit down meal. I love a long, slow table dine with good food and good company. The longer at table we are, the better.
Beautiful. And Jays or Leafs?
Can I go for like the Toronto Bills? I'm still rooting for us to get a football team. I would have to say Jays. If I have to sit and watch a sport, I want it to be outside in the summertime.
Yeah, beautiful. Oh, I'm so glad you took time out of your busy schedule to be with us today, Alison. And I really appreciate it. And, you know, we're so fortunate to have you out at Elmhurst. We're so fortunate to have Elmhurst. And you're right, it is only 25 minutes away, and it's so fabulous.
Wonderful.
Um,
Well, we hope to see some folks out here. So,
oh, absolutely. And again, thank you for being with us.
oh, thank you so much for the opportunity, Janet. I really appreciate it. It's been really fun.
Well, I'm glad to have you. If you're watching Chez Les Fleur podcast for the first time, we welcome you. If you're returning to see us again, we welcome you back. This is where women in small businesses are in the trenches. And if you love hearing their stories, then we're the podcast for you. So thanks very much for watching. Alison, thanks for being with us, and we'll see you soon.